Good morning, good people. It's Baraka here. I'm just driving in traffic this morning at 6:30 here on my way to Herndon for a project management boot camp. So if I can't look at the camera, it's because I'm at a stoplight now. I can, but I've got to keep focused on the road here. Anyway, I had some thoughts I wanted to share with everyone and I never have time to blog anymore. So I decided to do a vlog, or like a video blog entry. You know, anyone who knows me knows that I'm an optimist. I'm always fighting every day against negativity. But I'll tell you what, it's getting worse and worse, especially with the political climate of the upcoming presidential election. You know, and my buddy, my really close brother, Bobby Rundell, tagged me in a post yesterday on Instagram that I saw during our break, and it said, promote what you love instead of bitching about what you hate, or something in that context. And that's exactly one of the things that I always try to get across to people, is stop always, I mean, you constantly complain and bitch about negativity and bad things, but you're just adding to the problem. Instead of constantly complaining, do something positive to help uplift other people or uplift the bad situation. I mean, 1,000 people bitching about the same thing, all that does, if it's 1,000 matches, that just makes a bigger inferno. You know, why don't you be a drop of water instead to help quell some of that heat and quell some of that inferno and help knock it down? You know, the world's about balance and everything. You know, I choose every day, no matter how bad I feel, no matter what's going on in my life, I choose to fight to be happy by finding positives instead of focusing on the negatives. You know, I always tell people that saying is true. 100% life is 90% of what happens, but 10% of what happens, but 90% of how you react to it. It's 100% true. No matter how bad your day is going, you can choose to be focused and happy about something. You know, I was exhausted from taking over 11 hours yesterday. Drinking from the water hose is an understatement with this PMP boot camp. I was supposed to get up this morning at 4 to do cardio to stick to my goals during this week of training. However, one of our daughters, Princess Faye, was coughing sick last night, and basically kept me and my wife up on and off last night. She got up to tend to her, but unfortunately I was not able to wake up that extra hour and a half. I needed that sleep today. So yeah, I'm exhausted. Yeah, I'm a little disappointed I didn't get my workout, but so what? I'm alive, I'm healthy, I'm driving to something that's going to positively contribute to my career. I'm blessed that all of my family, myself, we're all alive, we're safe, we're healthy. I've got this car, we've got a house, we have food to eat, we have clothing, we have shelter. You know, there's a million things that I could bitch about that I don't like, that's wrong with society, wrong with the world, that I don't have. Wow. You know what? I'm just happy to be here. You know, the good Lord has chose to keep me here. I've almost been killed 10 different times. And every time I ask God, why am I still here? Other people have died from this. What am I around for? I still don't know, you know, other than being a father and a husband. You know, I have 3 beautiful daughters, and I have a beautiful wife that I care for, and I have a lot of friends that I love that are just like my family. And you know, my goals are really simple in life. I'm just trying to glorify the Lord by doing well and praising His name, being the best parent and father I can be, being the best husband that I can be to my wife, being the best friend I can be to my friends, being the best worker I can with work, and being the best positively contributing member to society. So I see a lot of negative stuff. Sometimes I start to type out responses and I just leave it alone. You know what? Because it's not my battle. I just leave it be, and I go back to my page on my posts in social media and I post something positive. That's the way I fight it, to try to uplift people, so people who are having a bad day go and see it. Because if I write something negative back, first of all, the poster who I respond to, if I shame them on it, they're just going to be upset even more and continue to have a bad day. So instead, I try to always find something positive to either say to that person if they're having a bad time. Even if I don't say anything to them, I add them to my prayers and I pray for them. So I'm no saint, you know. I'm a balanced person. As much bad as I do, I try to do good. You know, I believe in balance, and I try to do more good than bad. you know, but every intent that I have every day is a good intent. I never seek out to do something with negative intention because I fight those urges. You know, even if people do bad things, I try to laugh it off or, you know, turn it around in a good way. So all I'm saying to you guys is to do me a favor, challenge yourself today. If you see something that irks you, instead of bitching or complaining about it, try to turn around and do something positive. Do something positive to help someone else. Do something positive to uplift yourself. You know, you get stressed out, go to the gym, laugh. If you're not married and you're, you know, whatever, have some stress relief. You know what I'm talking about, the physical kind, the ultimate form of affection. But do whatever it does that'll make you laugh and make you happy, and, you know, crack a joke. You know, if your day's getting too intense, find a good, hilarious video you like on YouTube and go laugh at that stuff. You know, just try to stay positive no matter what. Fight to stay positive. Happiness is a choice. You have to fight to stay positive, and that's what I try to tell a lot of people. I know this is long-winded, but again, I'm just sick of the negativity. We're drowning in it, people. In our society, nobody wants to help each other. Nobody, you know, let someone over in traffic. It's like we're a united wall. Every time you try to get over somebody, all the people unite against you before you can get over. It's, I mean, that's just negative collusion. I mean, just do it. Let them over. It's not going to make 5 more minutes difference. If you're already late, you're late. You know, help out. Hold doors for people. Help them carry stuff. You know, last night there was an older lady in my class and it was dark, so I waited behind for her because I didn't want to alarm her or anything. And I acted like I was doing something. I walked out next to her so that I could escort her all the way to her car, and I did. We got in a conversation. And then at the end she goes, "Oh, you walked me to my car?" And I smiled and I said, "Yes, but since we don't know each other well, I didn't want to alarm you and offer that to you. Here's a stranger, a big guy you might be afraid of." And she's like, "Oh, I really appreciate that. You're such a gentleman." You know, there's ways to do things. One of my good friends, Jeff Sickles, you know, it's about being situational aware. He lives in the city, and sometimes when it's late, he's a bigger guy. If he sees a woman walking by herself, he'll cross the street and get out of her way because he doesn't want her to be worried about him as a threat or anything, you know? I mean, there's just, be aware, pay attention, see what people are doing around you, help where you can. I'm not saying you gotta donate $1 million, I'm not saying you gotta give all the time you have, but help where you can, you know? Someone breaks down the road, help push them, you know, jump their car, offer to call, you know, someone to come and help them. I mean, there's a lot of places that when I grew up, when I was a kid, that people used to. I used to see people fighting. If somebody's car broke down on the side of the road and they needed to push, you would see 10 or 20 people stopping to get out and help them. Nowadays, one day I helped to push a lady. She said she'd been sitting there, and it was a busy intersection, for almost 30 minutes, her and her toddler. I couldn't believe it. And people just kept passing by. Why? Because everyone thinks that the next person coming is going to do it. No, you know what? If you have an opportunity, you're not late, you don't have anything going, pull over and help. And I'm not just saying in that instance, in any instance. You know, you see someone when you're walking out from the store, you see an older person or somebody who has just a lot of stuff going on. Like there was a lady one day at Target who had 3 kids I saw. So, you know, my wife and I only had one of our children because the other 2 were at school. And I said, "Hey, honey, I'm going to go help this lady." And she had 3 kids and she was struggling with all of her groceries in her cart. I went over and I helped her out. You know, it takes 2 seconds, but you have to be paying attention. You know, that's part of proper mindset, being situationally aware, watching and paying attention to what's going on around you. Open your eyes, get out of your phone, get out of your tablet, get off of whatever you're doing and help out. Again, positive mindset, be an optimist. Let the glass be half full, not half empty. You know, there's nothing wrong with being positive. You know, people think, you know, being negative is easy. A lot of people are negative because they've had negative things to do. It's easy to focus on being angry. That makes you so you don't have to focus on being hurt or mad or disappointed. You know, being angry is easy. I did that for years when I was younger, when I was mad at the world. Staying mad all the time and finding people to be mad at and holding grudges is easy. It's hard to express love. You know, the strong in the world, and I'm one of the strong. You tell people you love that you love them. You show them through your actions. You know, actions speak louder than words. It doesn't have to be gold and blade and hearts and roses and flowers all the time. It can be by just simple expressions of doing things, you know, affectionate looks, words, you know, do things for other people. You know, your family, your friends, your loved ones. And like I said, help where you can in society. All right, well, I've rambled on long enough. I've still got a little bit of ways here to go in traffic before I get to my class. But anyway, folks, please have a great day. Fight to be positive. Stay strong. Have faith. Have hope. And know, no matter how bad the storm is, the storm will eventually end if you just buckle down and weather through it. Brace up. Be strong. And don't give in. You know, when you give in to negativity, guess what? You lost. You're weak. You've added to the problem. You know, take pride in yourself and be strong. Take pride in being strong and being better. That's what I challenge you to do today. Not to give in.